Okay, let's play some games. I don't know, I don't really have a theme today. I just wanted to play some triple triad and talk through some moves. See if anything interesting happens. I'm sort of holding a conversation on the side, so I will be pretty bad at the whole video thing this round, but I so often am, no one will notice. So, I, as probably is known, like 5 starters in closed. If we were going to play a non-side starter, I would like something that I have a lot of ways to comfortably capture back. So something like 8-3, 8-9, and 9, I have a really nice way to recapture from 6, but no way to recapture it all from 8. So move like that, probably not so appealing. Yeah, I'm not seeing any reason to go in that direction. I don't see quite how I'd make it work. So instead, probably something in 5. Probably not something with an 8 to the right, because that's the direction I can run out of power. Maybe something with a low number facing up, because that's another direction I can run out of power. I think the normal card is probably 6-5-7-9, something without an A that is easier to play off. But I think with the A down and my 8-3, 8-9 having potential combos off that, I'm going to go with one of my 2 bottom cards in 5. Both of them have an 8 to the left, which also gives me a plus wall, so I have at least 2 plus walls on both of them. I think just limited to the 2. Is there any difference between a 1 and a 2 facing up that my hand has some way to set up goofy combos off? The 1 up, if A8, 5, 6 goes in 3, 8, 3, 8, 9 is a plus in 2. That doesn't seem all that relevant to the game. With a 2 up, I could grab 7s. Don't really think it matters. So probably keep the better card for later. I think that's probably Nuge, so let's drop this guy in 5. I don't think you can lose too much equity on the first move with, like, normal looking moves. But I don't know. I'd really love to have a neural network for closed. I think closed is very difficult to come up with rules an AI would follow that would lead to good play. And so I think what you'd really want to do is you'd show an AI, how to draw random, how the game works, and give it some parameters it notices. You have to shape the network, but then you have it train against itself, playing just thousands and thousands of games against itself, which ideally it can do quite quickly. And eventually I think you'd come out with a real closed force, right? A really fascinating closed player. And not only would it ideally be excellent, it would also tell you, it would say, say first turn has a big advantage in closed. First turn is maybe supposed to score around 50% wins, 25% ties, 25% losses. So it might say, my move is expected to score about that rate, but there were some better moves in the hands, and maybe it tells you some of them could score 53 to 55% in its estimate of what you should score, right? It would not only be a very good player, it would be able to score different moves, which would be awesome, because then you could see kind of the differences between moves. Like, if I'm scoring on first turn what I'm expected to score, but there are definitely moves that score better than that, right? Because a better player will score better than the average score. It will identify, here's kind of where you're missing equity. Here's where you're missing value. So that would be really cool. So, all right, we got to move. Do we have any synergies against it? Well, we have nothing in 8 at all. We wouldn't have with my other possible starters, so, can't feel too bad about that. If we had chucked either of Sin or 8-3-8-9, we would be set up to have some threat in 8, but can't think like that. We have a nice play in 6, so we might not want 6 blocked. Is my hand better up, down, or side to side? I think up, down. So I, in general, am more drawn to 2 than to 4. But we may have a nice setup in 1. Do we have anything fun to do in 1? Nugent 1, it's alright. I really have to hold on to A8, 5, 6 after that, and it has no other squares it's good in. So if it doesn't land in 4, it's just going to feel like a dead card. A8, 5, 6 there doesn't set up many synergies. Could play something like 8, 3, 8, 9 in 1. Because at least like it's easy for my other cards to play off. I could even use 6, 5, 7, 9. Nuge goes in 6 decently enough, I think. But, I don't really know what I want to be doing here. I think I will probably go in 1 with something weak there. I don't like using 8, 3, 8, 9 because then I just have no play at all in 8. And it hurts to have just no play whatsoever in a given square. I don't know if A8, 5, 6 actually does anything that 1, 8, A8 can't do, but it has 4. 4 is worth something. Okay. We're going to give up 8 entirely. Our game plan just won't include 8. It sucks I don't have any plus in 2, because that's a pretty easy square to have a plus. There's a good chance he does, because gaps of 1 are the most commonly had gaps on cards. You know, if you look at my starting hand, right, 8, 3, 8, 9 has 1, 0 gap, 2, 1 gaps, and a couple big ones. A8, 7, 2 has a 2 gap, a 3 gap, and a 1 gap. A8, 6, 5 has a 2 gap, another 2 gap, a 1 gap. 6, 5, 7, 9 has multiple 1 gaps. In general, just saying. Numbers that are 1 apart from another number in the hand are somewhat more common to anything else. So it is the easiest thing for them to have, So they only have 3 cards in their hand. I guess odds are that they don't have that specific one, but they are more likely to have that than they are to have like any other sequence of cards you put together. I guess that's not true, because they have no chance whatsoever to have a same. So if we combine same and plus, they have more chance to plus than usual, but no chance to same. Lowers the odds that they have it. So I guess there's like, something like an A and a 9, or an 8 and a 7, or a 7 and a 6. Maybe 7 and 6 is the most likely. I really don't know. Again, this is something a neural network would be really great at showing. So if anyone's really good at programming neural network type stuff, get in contact with me. I don't think anyone is, though, that's connected to this. It's tricky to think, how would you learn to be a better closed player, right? What are you not doing that better players are doing? And it's hard to know because it's a closed information game, right? And you can piece things together after the game, but it doesn't feel like seeing how they made their decisions. And also most people, like I have an interface where I can put cards in and look at them a bit, but most people, aren't going to have that interface. So it's harder. Man, they have a lot of 9s to the left. That sucks for me. Oh dear. Okay. Now, of course, I still don't have a good setup in 7 that gives me 8. So that's really sad. So it's possible I should just try to bail out. What if I played... This crazy? It's a little crazy. I was thinking first, what if I played... I want to play in 6. Why do I want to play in 6? Here's why I want to play in 6. If they go in 2, then I can play... Say I go 1, 8, A8, and 6. and they go in 2, flipping both cards. And then I go 6, 5, 7, 9, and 8. This is my idea. I have 3 cards on board. I have 6, 8, and 9, so I'm down 6, 4. But A8, 5, 6 can take anything but a 10, giving me a decent chance to tie. But then I thought, if Nuge goes in 8, then A8, 5, 6 can take anything in 4. I might have said 6, but I meant 4. A8, 5, 6 from 7 will be able to take anything from 4. So if I could play Sin in 6 as the start, they go 2, I go 8, and I have at least a tie. And that seems really good, except if I go Sin 6. The main squares for them to go in are 2 and 8. If they go 8, they combo back. That includes comboing back Krillian. And I just, have nothing. Just nothing. So I think I have to go for the Nuge in 6 line. But the depressing thing is, if there they go 8, I still don't have anything to put in 2. But they can't know that, and they're less likely to do so, right? Because if I put Sin in 6, it comboed Shuyin, so if they go 8, they combo back. If I put Nuge in 6, they're more likely to think it's important for them to block 2, and blocking 8 doesn't make as much sense because it doesn't combo my card in 6. So I think I'm going to play Nuge in 6. Is there anything big I'm missing? 2 is kind of a disaster. Just kind of horrible looking, I think. 4, I need to block a square I don't have. The reason I can't play 7 is because I have so little play in 8, and I cannot create it. And so I want to get 8 off the board, and I can do that either because 6 induces 8 in them, or because if they go 2 after I go 6, I then can go 8 because I've already flipped 9, so I've locked it in. I think Nugent 6 is mandatory here, and I think I'm really hoping to get a tie. These 9s were such a nightmare for my hand. You know, when you only have 8s to the right, and every move they make puts a 9 to the left, it ain't gonna be easy. And 9s can be, of course, tough to take in general, but as I said, the most common gap is a 1 gap. You often have tools against 9s, but I just didn't against either of these. Possible I could have looked at the hand and noticed the weakness at the start and thought something like, I cannot take 9s or 10s going left. Maybe if I start Sin in 5, then suddenly my A8, 5, 6 can take some 9s, my 2, 7, A8 can take other 9s, but I still would have no way to touch 10s. I'm not sure that makes much of a difference. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I just don't know. But we are attempting to tie here. If they go 2 and I go 8, I do at least tie against anything but a 10 facing down. If they go in 7 against my move in 8, I get to go in 4. I will flip 1 and 5. That will combo 8 as well if need be. So that's obviously very good for me. So that's decent. And actually, if they go 8, this is all right as well. Say they just flip Shuyin back. They make it 5-5, there's decent chance I can play 6, 5, 7, 9, and 2, and A8, 5, 6 has a decent chance to be able to capture both 4 and 8, and they're definitely not a lock to have a double capture in 4, right? It's very possible they don't have that. I set the card in 1, I set the card in 5. They didn't use up a card that had the double capture. Usually if they do, they have a backup option. Yeah. Ooh, kind of depressing to see a 9 down. Because if he used a 9 down, there's of course a decent chance he has the 10 down. Alright, so what's the alternative? We could play in 4, get the double capture. That would put us up 6-4, but the problem is they very likely do have 8. They set Shuyin, so they are likely to have set something up. They set Shuyin after my card in 5. And they haven't used a card that would be good there, so they almost certainly have one left. So I think I have to go with the Sin and 8 plan. I don't think there's any choices here. Say good game, and hoping for a tie. These 9s were very tough for me. Well, that happens. Maybe we'll take a GB game and play Delial next or something. We'll see what games are up. So if they go 7, I do win. But the odds of that are just very low. Also, occasionally I win if they need to play something with a 9 up or to the right to block, and I happen to have the combo. They have a 7, 5, or 6. But there's basically no chance they have that, because if they did have that, they would have probably used that in 2 and kept Bart for later, the 4, 8, 9, 7. So at this point, I think I lose more than I tie. I think there's a very good chance they have a 10 facing down. They have 2 cards remaining in their hand, and they thought both were more important to hold on to than Bart, and they could have used any card in 2 because they only had to flip a 3 and a 2. So probably one of the remaining cards was really good for 8, but the other card seems likely to have been good for 4. My hope is it was good for 4 because it had captures there, not because it was a good defensive card with high out facing. Wow. So this was the very lucky circumstance where they didn't have a good blocker. They probably should have used that card in 2. But they wanted something to capture back. They thought I might capture 5 from 8. And yeah, very unlucky for them. I do think I played this right in a bad situation. Really shows the advantage of first turn, that kind of nonsense can randomly happen. Take a game against Delial. I've been getting a lot of first turns in these GB games. Gonna quickly put in my my data. Delial is on, per usual, a fantastic run. I am on a thoroughly unimpressive run. I'm not going to finish my games, but I am on even after 6 games. And Delial's on like plus 10 after 16 because Delial is insanely good. And I've had a lot of first turns, so I have like no excuse at all. I think I've had 5 first turns out of 7 games, so you know I should be doing much better. Okay, first thing I notice, big left weakness. Second thing I notice, 6663 and 6637 look kind of redundant, but maybe they're not because maybe they're my only cards with any left power. Those cards are very similar. I arguably have like 3 or 4 corners for the corner 7, so there is some appeal of starting in 3 rather than my normal starter of 5. 8642 is a kind of interesting card on this split level set. It's level 5 and 6. 8642, of course, very nice at picking off 8s, not so good at picking off 7s. So if I was going to play in 3, I think I'd want to keep... There's an argument for using one of my 6636 or 6637s, but it's hard for me to recapture from 2. I only have one way to do so. So if I wasn't going to drop one of those in 3, it's between, I think, 8642 and 6845. The 8 to the right feels important, but the 8 up also feels important to hold on to there. You could also start with 6584 and 3. That doesn't look appealing to me. I don't know. I'm thinking one of the 6636 or 6637 there. I don't know if the 7's actually better than the 6. I kind of think it isn't. I'm going to chuck this. But I really don't know. So, hopefully he spotted the game's taken. There was a message in a chat he's in, so hopefully he sees. Though with this hand against a player as good as Delial, Even though I'm on first turn, am I favored here? I don't really think so. Let's look at Deli's second account. 4,000 wins to 1,100 losses. Let's compare to my account. 5,000 wins to 2,000 losses. How many ties? I have 4,200, he has 2,000. So if you compare our records, you take his record, you add 1,000 wins, 1,000 losses, 2,000 ties, and you have my record. Sure makes my record not seem nearly as impressive. Okay. What else? What else is there of interest about our hand? I did give up the only 7 to the left. What do you think? Do you think it's more likely, seeing a starter like this, someone plays in 1 or plays in 9? I think it's an interesting question, because they're more likely to need to have to set up against 2. They're not that likely, but they're more likely to have to need to set up against 2. And that makes it more likely that you'd see 1 rather than 9, right? Makes sense. On the other hand, it's more likely they already have a really good capture in 2, right? They have some plus wall, something that locks it in. Therefore, if they already have the really good capture in 2, they might be more likely to go in 9. So I think sort of argument that either one is more likely, I really don't know. Curious if other people have thoughts there. My hand and how I've started doesn't have any plan at all, so very much will be reactive. Wanted to make the game upwards directed. Even in an upwards directed game, 6-5-8-4 is play, both because it can randomly pick off 8s with the 6-4, both because the 6-up isn't so bad, because an up-down game's favorable, but also just because having a number the opposite direction of the action is often the way to play with a difficult number facing out for them to take. More useful second turn than first, but still. Can have uses. Directionality is complicated. This week's weekly open has just gone up. This will, of course, have been a long time ago by the time you see it, but we got a fun bracket. I'm excited to try my hand at it. I have Tezuka in round 1, which is obviously a very difficult round 1. I have either Akiyama or Midas in round 2. That's not great. I have Yevon or Vialva in round 3. Not ideal. And, there are a bunch of people could face in the finals if I happen to get that far. Favorites probably Delial or Turds, but there are a bunch of, there's Doomtrain, Dalamar, and Random Hero as well. One of those 5. No matter how it goes, not super pleasant. All right. Opposite corner. So I should play in 1, 5, or 9. Those are the standard squares. Let's just go through them. If I was to go in 1, what would I want to put in 1? Not much. Maybe 6, 8, 4, 5. I have a nice recapture with 6, 5, 8, 4. So I could say that move, I like my recaptures. But, downside, 8, 6, 4, 2 might be a dead card in my hand. If I go in 1, it is likely they will react specifically in 4. I think 4 is substantially more likely than 2. And the reason for that is it's much easier for them to take a lower number with high out facing than it is to take a high number with high out facing. Especially because if they take the high number with high out facing, they'll probably had to have comboed it, and they will be vulnerable to combos back. And I, in fact, would have the combo back if I wanted it, if I played 6, 8, 4, 5, and 1 with 8, 6, 4, 2, and 4. So there's a case for that in 1, but I think a lot of the times they go 4, I go 2, and 8, 6, 4, 2 just ends up... I have to be really careful about that card, because it's easy for it to be a dead card. Maybe it's good enough. Maybe like they go 5 at the end, and then I can stick it in 6, or I can play 6, 6, 3, 6, and 8, and it's, got enough up, it does what it needs to. It can take all 8s. Maybe that's fine. Okay, So that's one candidate move. If we were going to go in 9, I have better directionality afterwards. But I don't love the look of any specific card there. Maybe 6, 8, 4, 5 there is correct as well, but then I don't have recapture for 2, so probably not. No, not loving the look of that. What about 5? 5 is sort of the chalk square I think most people play in more often than not. But I don't love the look of anything there. I'm going to go with a move in 1. Let's try 1. Go for 3 corners. That seems energetic enough. Alright. For various reasons we will not get into, Deli is not feeling his best this game, and I got first turn. So I kind of hope to tie or that he wins, but obviously I will make good moves. He's having a good GB. I'm not going to finish mine or not going to score well if I do. And he's not in the best shape at the moment, so better for him to get a good result than me, but we will try to make good moves. Like Abaddon in 1. I'm recording this on a day we were supposed to have a big storm. We did get a lot of heavy snow and some sleet, but it doesn't seem to have, we didn't get that many inches on the ground. And power stayed on, which is great. There was some worry that the power would go out here. And if it had, you would be spared this video, so unlucky you. So I think the main moves for him are 2, 4... I think 2 or 4 is very likely. All moves have some sense to them, right? Either of 6 or 8 sort of challenges me to take something. 9, I don't think highly of the 4 corners, but some people do, and it might not be so bad. The problem with the 4 corners is essentially that I can set up an X or play something with max number facing 5 that will necessarily be at least temporarily safe. So I get access to early safety, or I get an X, whichever is more favorable for me, so it gives me lots of options. I actually don't know what Deli's preference defending these positions are. I mean, I think 2 and 4 are pretty standard and kind of where you should be looking. I'm really glad if he goes 4, which I think is the more likely one, that 6, 5, 8, 4, I do set up a threat in 5 against 8s to the right. I have no play against 7s to the right. I have no play against 6s to the right. But I do have play against 8s. So, it's something. Also, because of the weak numbers facing out on the corners, one reason I was more drawn to 1 than 9 was higher numbers faced towards 1, which makes it kind of easier for me to pick up cards at the end. Either because it's easier for me to capture the 3 down from 3 or the 4 to the right from 7, or just because it's hard for him to play, it's harder for him to play next to it, locking it in. Keeps the game messy, and a messy game usually favors first turn. So I guess we'll see. I feel pretty decent about my move in 1. My starter in 3 really didn't lead to any synergies in 5, so there wasn't much to draw me to that. And his move didn't grant many synergies either. Like, I guess, 6, 6, 3, 6, and 5 is the move that you could maybe make a case for, but I just have so little play in 2 or 6 that even though it gives me a quite nice plus in 8 and a same in 4. I just don't want 2 and 6 to be dead squares there. So this seems promising enough. Two might be tough to meet. Like 2 with a high out that doesn't flip 1. Like if I have to block 4, what am I putting in 4 there? I don't know. I can't put 6, 6, 3, 6 because I'll need to keep some left. Probably 8, 6, 4, 2. Just feels like I'm walking into stuff. Okay, they do go there. I can combo them, and it sets up a same in 5. If he also has the same, the game gets dark, but isn't over. And if he doesn't have the same, I probably have a big advantage. So the main squares here are 4, 6, 5 in that order. If I was going to go in 5, it would be with 8, 6, 4, 2, because we'd have to grab 2. And it does set up something in 8, but not interested in that. Okay, so we've ruled out 5. We're on 4 or 6. If we were going to go in 6, still probably want to use 8, 6, 4, 2. The tricky thing about 6, the kind of L with a dangling far corner, is you just need a lot of different directional control. So if I went 8, 6, 4, 2, and 6, I do control 6s down and 8s facing out from 4. But I need something I can combo where I can't flip 2 as well. So I don't love that. I think it has to be 4. I have a huge threat to block in 5. If he doesn't have 5, he's in a lot of trouble. If he does block 5, I can I have the benefit of first turn, right? Like if he has the 6, 6, 3, 6, right? You might think that is terrible for me. I will be down 8 to 2. And like, yeah, that's not ideal. But you know, say I played 6, 5, 8, 4, and 6 afterwards. I'm down 7, 3, and 6, 6, 3, 6 actually cleans up anything that's not a 6 in 9, from facing 8 from 9. And so there is both a decent chance that I capture something, but also a decent chance that I pick up a combo there. So like, it's really bad, but there's actually not even 0 winning chances. And that's if he has the perfect card for 5. And if he doesn't have 5, then the game starts being really good for me. So, though at the same time, like I was saying, is it that bad if they have 5? It's also maybe not that good if I block 5. Like, it should be great. And I guess I can block 5 with either card. I was thinking I have to block it with 6, 6, 3, 6, but of course I don't. But you could imagine a line where, like, they go in 6, and I block 5 with 6, 6, 3, 6, and then they go in 8, and my 6, 5, 8, 4 is just doing nada. So, if I had better cards, though, like he still, I think, if he has something for 5, kind of has to do it. But if he doesn't have anything for 5, then this is a really tough position for him. So, let us see. So this is, of course, great for me to see. He didn't have 5. It was hard for him to have 5. I was pretty lucky I had a way to combo in 4. That was really strong. So got some options. The worst option is to go in 6. I think 6 is just terrible. They'll have a lot more chance to have 5 now that more cards have been played touching it. I don't have good things for 9. 6 is unplayable. How about 9? If I was going to play a 9, it would be 6-5-8-4. I go up 6-4. If they don't have 5, it's really good for me. Though actually conceivably losing if they could combo from 6 with a 7 or 8 facing left. But like, pretty good situation. But if they did set up something in 5, it gets worse. I think I should block 5 here. And the question is, which card do I want to hold in my hand, and what do I want to achieve with my move? But 6-6, 3-6, and 5, I cannot lose, and to tie, he must have a card in 6 that both captures and has a 7 or 8 facing down, or a 6 through 8 facing down. So if I play 6-6, 3-6, and 5, he needs a 6 through 8 facing down and the ability to capture a 6. If I play 6-5-8-4, it doesn't matter if he can combo it because I can recapture 8 from 9 anyway. So there I could capture 7s and anything 5 down. So I capture slightly more things that way, but also I have a 5 facing out. 6 is a little harder to take. Yeah, so comfortable tie plus. Ah, he had it. Alright, cool. Take myself a tie. Alright. Even after 7 games. Let's see what else is up. We're enjoying Triple Triad closed. Always get first turn. How could it be bad? Let's take Yevon on. Alright, we got a second turn versus Yevon. I think Yevon's putting up a crazy score this GB. Let's find Yevon's score. So he opened with a loss, and then 2 ties, including against me. I think there's a video of that one. Then a tie versus Turd, so he's just -1 after 4 games. Let this be a lesson to, not give up early on a GB. Wins game 5, 7-3, so he's +1 after 5. Wins game 6, 9-1, so he's +5. Loses game 7, +4. Wins game 8 by 2, +6. Ties game 9, wins game 10 by 1. He's up to +7, right? So he's +7 after 10 games. Then he gets a 2-8, drops to +4, follows it with a 9-1, jumps to +8, and has 2 6-4s in a tie since then. He's at +10 after 15 games. I think Deli's at +10 too. So I think Deli and Yevon, the 2 people we're playing here, are neck and neck for first right now. Yevon has done a really nice job. Someone was mentioning this in a chat. Yevon has done a really nice job of, especially when he has first turn, going for positions where he has a real chance to win by large margins, right? He is clearly comfortable taking some losses that he might not have to take if he played more solidly, to maximize his number of big wins, which is really good strategy. I think Yevon is really well attuned. I do not do that adjustment. One, I find it difficult to do. I really don't like losing, so my primary goal in kind of any game is to avoid losing. And that doesn't mean I won't ever take risky decisions. I certainly will. But I do try to minimize that. And secondly, I think messy positions are not ones I handle all that well, and I have trouble calibrating the risk. So I will kind of take risk from either positions that have gotten out of control despite my best efforts to keep them in control, or a sort of calculated risk that is kind of a one move risk, right? That isn't, I'm playing the risky move multiple times in sequences of risky moves. And, you know, I think the kind of classic example of this in closed is weak corner, you know, with some captures that are all overpowering, now guaranteed. If there's a combo at the end, that can flip this huge chain of stuff and just be decisive. And of course, first turn has a much bigger chance to land that huge combo. Or to not have it until the final card is played, but happen to have a plus wall or a plus on that final card. Right? So that happens all the time. And I think one way for me to be a better closed player would be to have a better feel for calculating those risks. So if I do badly here, I might be handing Yevon the title. If I do well here, I might be handing Delial the title. So we can pretend I am Kingmaker here, but actually I am just one of many. How do we feel about the hand? I see a lot of 5 sideways. I wonder if I can make those play well together. I also have these 2 horizontal cards at the bottom that really don't play well together. But the 4-8-1-8 picks up a lot of the 7s facing down. Maybe that'll have some interesting uses. My guess is the 2-7-3-7 will not be a card that plays well this game. The 7-5-6-5 is really good at exactly one type of 8 that my hand doesn't have, so I kind of have to hope he provides. In a previous game, we saw me play Yevon and closed in one of the early games of this, and we tied, and then I took his game again, and he timed out. And I sort of said maybe he doesn't want to play me. That was ridiculous. He did not want to play me, but that was because I hadn't realized it was Monday of the GB, not allowed to play him twice. I apologized after for taking the game, because that was really oblivious of me, and a shame. So I should not have taken this game, and yeah. Alright, he does seem to have timed out again. We will take the win, you know. Alright, let's play Doomtrain again. Everything's coming out closed today, which is good, because I was really hoping to focus on closed. 5-7-5-4s. How do you feel about those? The 4-5 part is really limited, right? Gaps of 1 and gaps of 0 will always have some use, right? You know, even if it doesn't have any of it can't take 6s, 7s, 8s, the 3 big numbers on its own. If enough 6, 7s, and 8s are running around, there's always a decent chance for those numbers hitting synergy. So while the 5-5-4 is a little dead on like a plus wall front and on a power front, it's the kind of gaps that are usually pretty nice to have. And then all of them play well with the 7. So it sort of ends up being a one-directional and combo-y card, but either needs to find play in that one direction it's good, because it has multiple things with plus walls helping the 7 play well, or you need to find ways to have combo synergies. And because I have 2 in my hand, my instinct is I either need to get them out of my hand, or I need to really be focusing on maximum combo potential early. I have 2 8s to the right, no play off them. The 3-7-5-8 and the 4-8-3-7 are almost opposites, but they are not opposites that necessarily play well together. I will need to see cards out of my opponent's hand that have some matching numbers for that pair to do nicely. 6-8-2-4, of course, can do stuff against some 8s, but not against 7s. Maybe 4837 in 7 is a corner I want to be playing, because it does also give me the plus wall there. I'm much better in a side-to-side game than an up-down game. So if they go in 5 and I was going to go in a side, I would rather go in 4 or 6 than 2 or 8. Okay. If we're looking to maximize synergy, the easiest first thing to check is just paired numbers. You know, if they have a 6 down, do I have a 6 up? I do. So that could be played off with either a 2 facing up or a 4 to the right. I don't have a 2 facing up. I do have a 4 to the right. I also have an 8 to the right. That could work as well. I also have plus walls in 2. Now, with it having a 6 facing out, it's not that likely to flip extra cards, but I do have multiple ways to plus wall in 2 already. That's quite nice. I cannot actually take in 6. So I think I do want to play in 5 or 9 to just make sure I have a capture in 6. Make sure I have captures in every square I might need it. Now, in 6, I could have a 4 or an 8 to the right. Or a 7. In 9, I could have a 4 up. That would set something up. I could have a 6 up, but I probably don't want to use a 6 up because I have limited up power and it's nice to keep what few tools I have. Not only the 6-8-2-4 of a 6 up, but the 6-4 part means it's kind of my only card that could grab some 9s. I'm tempted to get the 5-4-7-5 in 5. My reason is partially I have this same in 6 that might be good. I do not have fantastic play in 2. I'm not going to claim I do there. But I also think my 5-7-5-4 might play really nicely after. Like, if he goes in 7, I don't know if Doomy likes to go in 7 after 5, or if he likes to go in, like, 4 or 8. But if he does go in 7, with any big numbers facing out, my 5-7-5-4, like, can now grab an 8 facing right from 7, or a 7 facing up from 7. Which my hand normally would not be very good at dealing with. But maybe the 5-5-7-4s are actually the cards I should be holding on to. If I did it with 4-8-3-7, I would set myself up to have more play in 2. I still have a pretty good plus in 6. And I hold on to the somewhat more dynamic cards, but they don't really have something to play off there. They don't play well off the 7. What if I did 3-7-5-8 in 5? Then I do have a plus in 6. That 5 in facing down means I actually have pretty good coverage of every number that could face right from 7. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it that way. Not sure about this. Again, I'd love to have a comparison of equity, because I just don't know. A lot of Clan League this week. Twin Moons have started amazing. Just absolutely incredible. You think, what's a clan tournament, right? The clan tournament ties count. So what's a good result in a clan tournament, right? If you win a game and tie a game, are you doing well? You are doing amazing, right? They have 5 wins to 2 ties. It's just, they're crushing. Here's their current standings. In match day 1, they're facing my beloved clan, Avalanche, and Scythe today beat Tezuka, so they lead 1-0. Against T3, Crescent beat Doomtrain, Aesla beat Wingus, Dalamar beat General. They are up 3-0. They have already won by a lot with a game still to play. Against Brotherhood of Seed, Bren tied Akiyama. Bren never loses to Brotherhood of Seed. You've probably seen that game because I did record it. Dalamar tied Metis, and Turds beat Vialva, which locks in that TM has at least tied that matchup, and unless Aesla loses to Meta, they will win that matchup as well. So they are favorites against AVL. They're probably bigger favorites against Brotherhood of Seed, because Brotherhood of Seed has less games to come back. They have already beaten T3. In the Brotherhood of Seed matchup, I also think who's the favorite between Acela and Meta? Like, if we look historically, it's got to be Meta, right? You know, Acela has a tournament win, but it was a shorter event, not as strong opposition. They did beat Slash of Time at the end. Meta has a win, a finals, some other results. You know, Meta was recently described in an interview I did as a well-oiled machine. Just very few mistakes, very consistently good play. But Meta's not been playing a lot. Most of what he's been playing is closed non-combo, right? I suspect he's still very good, but I wouldn't expect him to be in top form right now, right? Just seems unlikely, hasn't been that active. This is not to take away from him, it's just to say when you're not that active, it's hard to be in top form. Acela, I was so impressed by his Nephilim run. So I think in kind of hand tournament game formats, Acela is one of the really relevant players on the site. You know, one of the real threats to either knock out other real threats or just win the tournament. And after having played Acela in Nephilim, I don't want to be in Acela's bracket. That is not a name I want to see. Okay. So we tried to set up some combo synergies and we got nothing. Sadly, we don't have 4. Not that we actually set up well for 4, which I do admit. Okay. This is for the GB. I should put this in the GB's table. I do hope I play enough games to finish the GB. Wasn't sure I would, but I just wanted to play some closed. Not doing great, as said. So 1914, Doomtrain, close, Doomtrain, winner unknown. Game count up to 8. I'm currently on an even score. Alright, I have 6. I don't really want to block 6. I have 2. I don't really want to block 2. I don't have as good play in either 8 or 4. Particularly 4 is ugly for me. Which cards do I need to hold on to? No, I do have a plus in 8. I think I kind of just want to block 4. I think I have action everywhere else. I think I'm just going to block 4, and I'm going to block 4 with the card that has no action. And it also matches 5, so it's hard to run into devastating combo chains. Yeah. I think the only really big downside to this move is if they can play in 1 with a 8 to the right, I just feel terrible while capturing 4. Like, that just feels miserable because it's the one thing I don't have covered, so of course that feels bad. If they play a Z, I hope they do it in a way that flips 5 because I have a lot of action against 5. So I might be able to use that. Don't have great ways to slide against it. I think more likely they go in 8. And then that luckily does probably have to flip 5. I don't have a great move in 9 there. Probably I play 1. I mean, it's not great. But I guess they need some double capture in 6 at the end to get the win. There's a pretty good chance I'm losing 6-4 here, but there's a pretty good chance I'm tying 5-5, I think. Fairly low chance I win unless they do something weird here. All right, so we were talking about how good Twin Moons is doing. So ahead against AVL 1-0, ahead against Brotherhood of Seed 2-1 with 1 game left, have already beaten T3, and in their final matchup against FFF, only Crescent has played, and he has won his game. So they are up 1-0 against FFF and AVL, they are up 2-1 against Brotherhood of Seed, and they've already beaten T3. This is a fantastic start. Their chief rival right now is Brotherhood of Seed. Brotherhood of Seed has locked in their win against T3, so both clans have beaten T3. Fialva and Metis both won, and Meta got a tie, which was enough to clinch. 1 game still to play. Brotherhood of Seed is also very likely, or is favorite to beat FFF. Seto and Metis both tied against Yevon and Sergio, but Vialva beat Random Hero. So unless Reddick beats meta, and it is closed, and Reddick is a good closed player, but I think Brotherhood of Seed certainly favored to pick up a second win there. Brotherhood of Seed against AVL. So both favored to beat FFF, but not guaranteed. Both have beaten T3. Twin Moons is up 1-0 against AVL. Brotherhood of Seed is tied 1-1. Seto tied Piggyman, and Vialva tied Delial. Two really good games remaining. Tezuka vs. Akiyama has happened a bunch and has been very interesting, and Sir Smokes vs. Metis is actually one of the all-time really cool rivalries. Okay, he found a way to go in 8 that is quite annoying. But I think we have some tools here. I think if we go 9, it is hard for him to have 6, because he did flip 5. So if we go 9 and he goes 6, comboing in 6, we go in 2 with 5, 4, 7, 5, and have to hope he doesn't combo at the end, but it makes it really hard for him to go in 6. He's more likely to go in 1, but hopefully the card that is best in 1, for instance something flipping 4, would also be his best card for 6. And we have some combo potential against stuff in 1. Not a lot, but some. We can pick up 5s, I guess. 5s and 4s. Alright, that's not very much. So that's if we go 4, 8, 3, 7, and 9. We could also start in 1. Say 4, 8, 3, 7, and 1. If we do that in 1, we will never have to go in 9, so it doesn't matter. We used our only threat in 9. Because if they go in 2, we're going in 6, and if they go in 9, obviously we can't go in 9. So 4, 8, 3, 7, and 9. If they go in 2, I have the plus in 6, I have to feel good. And if they go in 9, that is scarier. We will double capture in 2, we will go up 6-4, and if they have the double capture back, we lose. If they don't, we tie. And we won't lose worse than that, because 5-7, 5-4 is how we'll do it. We won't do it with the plus. We'll do it with the overpowering to make sure we're not comboed back. So 4, 8, 3, 7, and 1. If he goes 9, I sometimes tie, I sometimes lose. Doesn't feel great. And he's pretty likely to go 9. If I start in 9, it's messier and I can lose by more. I wish after using 4, 8, 3, 7, I had better play in 2. Because if he goes in 1, if I had some combo potential in 2, this would feel quite promising, actually, I think, but instead doesn't. I don't have a good way to slide. For instance, I could play 4, 8, 3, 7, and 6, and then combo back from 2, but I'm very susceptible to being killed by a combo back. How susceptible am I, actually? I can only lose 6-4. I can only lose 6-4. No, I can lose 7-3 because they can take the card in 4. No, I don't like that at all. I don't have any way to slide well in 2. So, okay. I think I like the line in 1 more than the line in 9. Also, there is some chance that if they play in 9, I won't combo in 6 because then I'm really vulnerable to losing badly. But I could see myself playing 5, 4, 7, 5, and 6. Just overpowering it, not flipping anything else, making it 5-5, and hoping they can't take that 8. But here I am definitely groveling for a tie. Which is often the case on second turn, so I don't know if that means I handled this badly. It's so hard to improve it closed, because you don't know where you went wrong, as I may have handled this hand reasonably well. Maybe it could have been handled just much, much better. I don't know. I think it's kind of fun that I ended up with both 7-5-5-4s as my last 2 cards. That appeals to me in my twisted way. But yeah, congrats to TM. They've been doing great. So Brotherhood of Seed also beat T3, is also ahead versus FFF. However, TM is doing better against AVL, and in the head-to-head, TM is either going to win that matchup or it's a tie. So right now it looks like the title is a race between TM and Brotherhood of Seed, with TM holding a pretty substantial lead. Like, TM has tied 2 games out of 7, right? Brotherhood of Seed has... Oh, it'll tell me. Dalamar is a nice spreadsheet. Yeah. So Brotherhood of Seed has 3 wins, 7 ties, 1 loss. And TM has 6 wins, 2 ties. They're up to 6 wins. They're not even on 5, right? Because they won one more game since they set it. That's absurd. So fantastic start to TM. Hopefully someone can slow them, and hopefully Doomy will go in 2 here. Because if he goes in 2, I'm pretty happy. Like, even if he takes, I have some chance to combo back, and... I'm not that happy. Because my move in 6 only is a 5 facing out, but a 5 isn't free. He did start in 3, which makes me think he has more power facing up, but he has used 2 cards with 7s facing up, so it's not guaranteed he has a ton of up power left. I could easily see him having like 1 more high up power left and maybe 1 low. There's the low. Okay, well, it's not exactly what we want to see, right? Because now I cannot just capture that from 6 without flipping other things. So I think I have to go 2, because neither has really good winning chances, and it's a lot safer to combos. So let's hope we got a tie, but probably lose 6-4. I would guess their card didn't have the capture of 1 from 2, but it's so easy for them to have other things that I was not comfortable going in 6. We'll see if this was a overly cautious play, but... Oh no. Well, that's depressing. Set up the same card. Oh well. Alright, so we move to a -1 score. I've not been doing well in these close games. And I've gotten a lot of first turns, so can't make excuses like that. On -1 after 8 games. Tough. So if I had pulled the trigger and gone 6, I actually could have won. Does that mean I should have done so? Very unclear. Now, given that he went in 9, there was a decent chance he didn't have something good for 2. Because it's easy to go in 2 there. If you have it. I just thought it was easier for me to have set him up in 2. There's so many stuff it's facing. I like forcing you to take higher numbers, but 1 gaps are easier to combo than other things. There were no 1 gaps up top. Maybe I should have taken the risk. I really don't know. What can you do? You live and you don't learn. That's the real lesson here. Guess I've been going a long time, played a bunch of close game. Hopefully it was fun. Cheers.